Our team coverage tonight from the front lines with CBS's Randall Pinkston, who's live in Lower Manhattan.
About 2 hours ago, I would have been standing in the Hudson River. The powerful storm surge from Sandy has begun to recede, but the danger is far from over. Sandy roared ashore south of Atlantic City, New Jersey, early Monday evening, packing sustained winds of 80 miles per hour with gusts over 100. The storm blew out windows and flooded streets up and down the East Coast, tearing up Atlantic City's famous boardwalk. The storm cut electricity to more than 2 million homes and businesses. Strong winds snapped power lines from Pennsylvania to Connecticut.
We knew that this was going to be a very dangerous storm, and the storm has met our expectations.
New York City is all but shut down. The powerful storm surge from Hurricane Sandy pushed the waters of the Hudson River through the seawall and onto the walkway. A record storm surge sent tidal waters into a major traffic tunnel linking Manhattan and Brooklyn. Sandy's winds also caused a high-rise crane to collapse. It was left dangling about 1,000 feet over Midtown, forcing the evacuation of several buildings. And Sandy's winds are being blamed for the collapse of an apartment building's facade. No one was injured. Sandy is combining with a winter storm and will continue to cause trouble and damage for days.
There's been extraordinarily close coordination between state, federal, and local governments. And so we're confident that the assets are pre-positioned for an effective response in the aftermath of the storm.
With Sandy expected to affect the Northeast through Thursday, that response could take some time. And there are fatalities being reported from Sandy. At least 5 people killed in New York State, most of them from falling tree limbs. Reporting live in New York, I'm Randall Pinkston. Back to you.
All right, Randall, Chief Meteorologist Mark Ronchetti is following all this closely. Mark, where's this thing tracking now?
Well, Dick, right now what it looks like is the storm is kind of drifting to the southwest just a little bit over northern portions of Maryland right now. In fact, we'll put it for you on the map here, and it's now a low pressure system, but still, this thing has been absolutely devastating for storm surge, obviously, and it is also delivering a wicked shot of cold air off, we really would call it the front side, I guess, now of the storm in areas like West Virginia getting a tremendous amount of snow, but we also have that flooding that continues with the storm surge in New York City, and the flow around this storm, whether it be the cold air coming onto the west side of the storm or the moisture still flowing in from the Pacific, will fuel this thing for days to come. So we aren't done with this yet. And coming up, we'll take a look at exactly why this particular storm is so devastating and the way that it came into the coast. Not only that, but we also have our forecast here in New Mexico, which does look a little bit better for El Nino. A full breakdown on that as well in just a couple minutes.
The superstorm has left tens of thousands of people stranded, including some New Mexicans trying to get home. Tonight, they're stuck riding out the storm. News 13's Amanda Goodman is live in the Newsplex with that part of the story.
Jessica, the good news is everyone we talked to is safe, but they all told me this will be one experience they never forget.
But I've never seen sides of buildings ripped off. I've never seen a crane 70 stories up about to fall.
That was until today. Paul Alexander, owner and operator of Albuquerque's Party Trolley, was in New York for a quick business trip. That has since turned into an extended stay thanks to Superstorm Sandy.
I'd say the scariest thing is right now we're 25 stories up in our hotel room, and the scariest part isn't the rain, it's the wind, because you can kind of feel the building move at times.
Alexander is not the only local suffering through Sandy. Jonathan Sims of Acoma Pueblo is with a large group. They were flying back from an educational trip in Germany. They made it as far as D.C.
The streets are pretty much deserted. Everything closed up as early as like 2 p.m. in the afternoon here.
Sims's group and Alexander were some of the lucky ones, though. They were able to find hotels to hunker down in and even rebook their flights home to New Mexico.
Everybody is trying to make the best of it.
Sims's group is hoping to get home by Wednesday. Alexander, meanwhile, is scheduled to come home tomorrow, but he's not sure how likely it will be that will happen. Back to you.
Okay, Amanda, while those two are trying to get out, dozens of PNM employees are on their way to the East Coast to deal with the mass outages there. 40 men and 22 trucks left Albuquerque this afternoon to make the 1,900-mile trip to Maryland. Once they get there, Baltimore Gas and Electric will give them orders, and they'll be contracting with other companies depending on where help is needed. For one worker, it's personal. He has 2 daughters in Sandy's path.
Before you leave, what's going through your head right now?
In my head is the safety of my kids. I'm doing this because I feel like I need to. And that's just the way. It's not just because of them, it's because of everybody.
Depending on the damage, the crews could be spending a month on the East Coast.
Stay with News 13 for continuing coverage of Sandy on air and online. We will stream continuous live coverage of the storm through the night at KRQE.com. Some of the families shaken by the BioCare scandal are finally getting their day in court. It's been 2 years since that Albuquerque company was caught dumping body parts that were meant for research. To add insult to injury, BioCare was then caught giving back the wrong cremains, sometimes just plain old ashes, to the families. Here's News 13's Alex Tomlin with the new developments. Alex?
Dick, some of the families have been left with nothing, but others are still fighting to hold someone responsible for the heartless handling of bodies, the people they loved.
I wonder if that's my dad.
Chuck Hines was watching Channel 13 in 2010 when we first reported on Paul Montano. Hines would soon find out his father, Charles, who had donated his body to BioCare for medical research, had not been returned as promised.
I don't know if I got his ashes back or human ashes back.
Parts of Hines' body were found along with 7 heads, a number of torsos, and an assortment of limbs at a Kansas City medical waste incinerating company. That facility was not meant to dispose of body parts, but that's where owner Paul Montano had been sending remains to get rid of them. When cops raided Montano's company on Paseo, they found even more body parts, some in fridges, others left out in the open to decompose. Why? Montano claimed his finances were floundering, so he couldn't afford the cost of cremating the bodies. Hines wasn't the only victim of Montano and BioCare.
I had one client who thought he received his wife's ashes, and then after the police raided the BioCare facility, found out that his wife was completely intact and essentially rotting there at the office.
Eric Lohman represented 2 other families whose civil cases came to a halt quickly.
Paul Montano and BioCare were the real bad guys here, and when they filed bankruptcy, then the civil case against them just stops.
Montano had been charged criminally with fraud, but
when the district attorney decided not to prosecute him criminally, there weren't very many, other places for them to turn.
Now a couple of the families are suing the funeral homes, which had contracts with Montano to cremate the bodies. Lohman says his clients tried similar lawsuits, only to be disappointed.
In our case, the court found that the funeral homes didn't have any duty to verify that the people they were cremating were the people that they thought they were cremating or that they were supposed to be cremating.
Charles Hines is still suing Noblin Funeral Services. In fact, jury selection continued today in his case. A jury is expected to decide if the funeral home is partly responsible for the mixed-up remains by the end of the week. Dick?
Okay, Alex, another family is suing Riverside Funeral Home Incorporated of Berlin, claiming it should have known that Montano was not accredited or licensed to handle bodies for medical research.
Today, the state shut down a daycare center that's director is accused of sexually assaulting a child he watched over. 59-year-old Dermot Newman is charged with raping a 3-year-old at the Peppermint Stick preschool on Jefferson near Lomas. This afternoon, CYFD workers suspended the center's license because Newman was the director. He has to be at the site most of the time, but his rape charges prevent that. Some parents still brought their kids to the center today and stand by Newman.
My younger son is disabled. He's been here since he was 2 years old. He's going on 8. And, I've never seen anything negative from Mr. Newman, his wife, or anybody that works here.
I have to be careful for them. They don't understand. They don't understand why they can't come to school, and they can't understand why they can't see their teachers.
Newman and his wife have run the daycare center for 33 years, and CYFD says until now he passed a criminal background check. The daycare center can take steps to reopen, like finding an interim director.
To get you to vote for them, politicians often promise change. Too often that promise is just yada, yada, yada. This year, though, the New Mexico election really might lead to change. Dramatic, historic change. Katie Kim explains at 10:14.
Also, a former firefighter breaks into his former firehouse with something specific and spectacular in mind. At 10:18, his prize that was hard to hide.
Check 1 2, mic check, mic check. The big story in local races has been the governor trying to unseat the top 2 leaders in the Senate. But the stakes are even higher in the House.
Known for a long time as a grandfather.
All right.
Now, from the Newsplex, sit nipping, Jessica Garate, Chief Meteorologist Mark Ronchetti, and Van Tate with sports. This is KRQE News 13 at 10 in high definition.
Well, the presidential and congressional races in New Mexico have clear front runners in next week's election. The battle for control of the Roundhouse is anything but settled. For the first time in decades, Republicans have a real chance to take the House. News 13's Katie Kim is in the Newsplex.
Jessica, the big story in local races has been the governor trying to unseat the top 2 leaders in the Senate, but the stakes are even higher in the House.
All eyes are on next Tuesday, Election Day.
We got a lot at stake.
Namely in who controls the Roundhouse, according to UNM political science professor Gabe Sanchez. In the Senate, Democrats have a 28-14 majority. They're not in danger there. But the House is a much different story, where Dems only outnumber Republicans 36-33, with one independent caught in the middle.
I'm looking at maybe 5, 6, 7 races that are really up for grabs.
From a seat in Los Alamos to one in Las Cruces, those few races could be game changers. Races like in Albuquerque's North Valley, firefighter Emily Kane, a Democrat, faces Republican attorney Chris Salcedo in a contest heavily targeted by Governor Susana Martinez and her political team.
Gave Kane a key appointment illegally.
The governor has been very effective at really raising a lot of outside money and targeting a handful of places where they think they can pick up some seats.
6 House districts are split down the middle, where neither party holds a distinct advantage in registered voters. 5 of the 6 are currently held by Republicans. The GOP is desperately trying to hold those seats and then some to give the governor a big win.
That would give her a lot of ability to really enact her policy agenda. So that's what's at stake.
Now, Republicans only need to gain 2 more seats for a takeover of the House, which would mean the Democrat-controlled Senate would have a harder time even getting a bill to the governor's desk. Back to you.
Okay, Katie, the governor is also targeting that one independent rep who faces a Democrat and a Republican in the election. Even though Andy Nunez of Hatch backed the governor's education bills and her repeal of driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. The governor's people want him out, sending out mailers attacking him for his yes vote to repeal the death penalty.